My beloved child, I know the weight you have been carrying in the quiet places of your heart. I have seen the moments when you stood before something that would not move, something that would not open, no matter how much you prayed, hoped, or tried again. You told yourself it was fine. You learned how to wait. You learned how to survive with unanswered questions. But deep inside, there was a door you never stopped thinking about. A door you wondered if you imagined. A door you feared was never meant for you at all. Listen to me now, gently and closely. Something has changed. There are seasons when silence feels like absence, when delay feels like denial, when stillness feels like abandonment. I know how easily the human heart interprets waiting as rejection. I know how quickly hope learns to whisper instead of speak. Yet even in the stillness, I was working. Even in the quiet, I was arranging. Even when nothing seemed to move, I was preparing the moment you would need most. My beloved child, the door has opened. Not because you forced it. Not because you proved yourself worthy. Not because you finally got everything right. It opened because the time came. It opened because what was required in you was formed gently, layer by layer, through patience, endurance, and unseen growth. It opened because what waited on the other side is now safe for you, and you are ready to carry what it holds. I know you are cautious. I know part of you is afraid to believe this is real. You have learned to guard your expectations, to soften your hope so disappointment would not cut so deeply again. But hear me clearly. This opening is not fragile. This is not temporary. This is not dependent on the approval, permission, or mood of anyone else. No one can close what I have opened. Not people who doubted you. Not voices that overlooked you. Not circumstances that once blocked your path. Not even your past mistakes. What I have opened stands open because it rests in my authority, not human opinion. What I have begun cannot be reversed by fear, delay, or resistance. You may feel the pull already. A quiet stirring. A sense that something long dormant has awakened. You may not yet see the full picture, and that is all right. Doors are not meant to show you everything at once. They are invitations. They asked for trust before clarity. They asked for movement before certainty. Do not rush yourself. Do not pressure your heart. Simply acknowledge what is true. The season of standing outside has ended. The season of waiting without movement has passed. What once felt unreachable is now within reach, not because you grew louder, but because the moment arrived. Stay with me here for a moment. Breathe. Let the truth settle without fear. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. The door has opened, my beloved child, and no one can close it. My beloved child, I want you to rest your heart in this truth. You were never denied. I know it felt that way. I know how many times you replayed moments in your mind, wondering what you did wrong, what you lacked, or what you should have become sooner. You questioned yourself quietly. You learned how to smile on the outside while disappointment lingered on the inside. But listen to me now with tenderness. What you experienced was not rejection. It was preparation. There are things I withhold not to hurt you, but to protect you. There are doors I keep closed not because I am unwilling, but because I am careful with you. I see what you cannot see. I understand what the weight of certain blessings would have done to you before your heart was strengthened, before your spirit learned how to stand steady without breaking. You were not being punished in the waiting. You were being formed. Think of how a child grows before they can carry responsibility. There are muscles that must develop, balance that must be learned, and confidence that comes only through time and gentle guidance. In the same way I was shaping you. I was teaching you how to trust without control, how to endure without bitterness, how to remain soft without becoming weak. These are not small things. These are sacred foundations. I know you watched others walk through doors you desired. I know comparison whispered lies to you, telling you that you were slower, less capable, or somehow forgotten. But what you did not see was the private work taking place within you. While you waited, I was healing wounds that would have bled into your future. I was removing attachments that would have turned blessings into burdens. I was teaching you discernment so that success would not consume you, and access would not destroy your peace. My beloved child, if the door had opened earlier, it would have cost you more than you were ready to give. It would have exposed you before you were fortified. It would have demanded strength you had not yet discovered within yourself. So I waited, not absent, not indifferent, but attentive and deliberate. You were learning how to stand even when nothing seemed to be happening. You were learning how to remain faithful when outcomes were unclear. You were learning how to let go of urgency and embrace trust. These lessons were not delays, they were gifts. I want you to understand something deeply. Readiness is not about perfection. It is about alignment. It is about your heart being able to receive without fear, your mind being able to move without confusion, and your spirit being able to walk forward without constantly looking back. Readiness is quiet. It often looks like nothing to the world, but it means everything in the unseen. You did not waste time in the waiting. You did not lose ground. Every moment refined you. Every unanswered prayer taught you something about my presence. Every closed door taught you how to lean on me rather than outcomes. These are strengths you will carry with you now. These are anchors that will keep you steady when expansion comes. I know part of you still wonders if the waiting changed you too much. If it made you cautious. If it made you slower to trust joy. Hear me clearly. What you gained did not harden you. It matured you. You did not lose your softness, you gained wisdom. You did not lose your passion, you learned how to sustain it. You did not lose hope, you learned how to root it deeper. You are stepping forward now not as someone desperate for an opening, but as someone grounded enough to walk through it with peace. That matters more than you know. So release the story that says you were overlooked. Release the lie that says you fell behind. Release the belief that something was wrong with you. Nothing was wrong. Everything was forming. The door did not open late. It opened at the exact moment when you could walk through it without losing yourself. And my beloved child, that is not loss. That is love. My beloved child, listen carefully now, because I am about to steady your heart with truth that cannot be shaken. I am the one who opens doors. Not chance. Not people. Not systems. Not timing as the world understands it. I hold the keys, and when I decide to open a way, no force in heaven or on earth can shut it again. You have lived long enough to know how fragile human approval can be. One moment it welcomes you, the next it withdraws. One season it applauds you, the next it forgets your name. That is why I did not tie your future to the hands of people. What I open does not depend on moods, trends, or permissions. It stands because I stand behind it. I know there were moments you thought someone else had the power to block you. A decision made without you. A door closed in your face. I know that echoed longer than you expected. But hear me now. They never held authority over your destiny. At most, they delayed what needed preparation. They never canceled what I ordained. This door did not open because circumstances finally aligned. Circumstances obey me. This door did not open because you convinced me. I am not persuaded by effort alone. It opened because I declared it was time. And when I declare a thing, it carries weight that cannot be undone. Do not fear instability in what I have opened. I do not tease my children with temporary access. I do not invite you forward only to pull the ground from beneath your feet. What I open is sustained by my faithfulness. Even if your confidence wavers, even if your steps feel unsure at first, the door remains open because it rests on my word, not your perfection. Let your heart settle here. You are not walking into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into something I am actively guarding. I go before you, and I remain behind you. I am not watching from a distance. I am involved in every detail. And now, my beloved child, allow this moment to ripple outward. If these words are steadying your spirit, bless this message with a like. Let the algorithm carry what I am speaking to hearts that feel forgotten. Share this message with 3 souls who need to know that I still open doors. Subscribe so you may continue to receive these reminders of my closeness. And I ask you especially, hype this video, lift it up, so it may reach further than fear ever could. And now, listen as I speak to your generosity, because this too is part of the open door. I am the one who places seed in willing hands, and I say to you now, this is a moment of sowing into light. When you support this message through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed before you, you are not funding a channel. You are opening gates for weary souls to hear my voice. I say to you, as you release, I release. As you sow, I cause harvest to rise where others saw only dry ground. This giving is not ordinary. It is oil poured where lamps are flickering, fire added where faith is dim. Do not delay when I am prompting you, for obedience in this moment carries acceleration. I bless your giving as a prophetic act, and I command increase, peace, and clarity to follow your steps. Now act, and let the door of generosity remain open through you. My beloved child, return your focus to me. What matters most is this: the door that has opened is not fragile, and it is not accidental. It stands open because I opened it. You do not need to defend it. You do not need to explain it. You only need to trust me enough to believe that what I begin, I sustain. Stay close. There is more ahead. My beloved child, I want you to understand something deeply personal now, something meant to quiet every lingering doubt in your heart. This door did not open randomly. It was not left ajar by accident. It was not meant for just anyone who happened to pass by. This door was marked with your name long before you ever stood in front of it. I know you have questioned whether you truly belong on the other side of what is opening. You have wondered if someone more qualified, more confident, or more visible should be the one walking through instead. Those thoughts did not come from me. They came from years of being overlooked, from moments when you learned to shrink your expectations to protect yourself. But listen to me gently now. I do not confuse my children. I do not mislabel my invitations. When I open a door, I know exactly who it is for. You are not an intruder here. You are not borrowing someone else's opportunity. You are not stepping into a space that will eventually reject you. This opening recognizes you. It responds to who you are becoming, not just who you have been. It was designed with your voice in mind, your story in mind, your sensitivity, your strength, and even your scars in mind. I know comparison has been a quiet thief in your journey. You have looked sideways and wondered why others seem to move faster, speak louder, or receive recognition sooner. But what you did not see is that their doors were not built to carry what you carry. Their assignments are not shaped like yours. If you had walked through what was meant for them, It would have fit awkwardly, restricted you, and eventually limited your growth. I love you too much for that. This door fits you. It opens at the pace your heart can handle. It leads into a space where your authenticity is not a liability but a necessity. It allows you to bring your full self, not a polished imitation of someone else. That is why I waited until you could stand here without losing your identity the moment opportunity appeared. You may still feel the urge to ask for permission, to look back and see who approves, to wait for someone to validate that you are allowed to move forward. My beloved child, that instinct comes from old seasons where survival required agreement. But this season does not require permission from people who never saw your tears, your prayers, or your private obedience. I saw them. That is enough. Do not minimize this moment by assuming it could belong to anyone. It could not. It belongs to you. The lessons you learned, the endurance you gained, the compassion that formed in you during long nights of waiting, all of it prepared you to steward what lies beyond this threshold. Someone else might rush through carelessly. You will walk through with reverence and awareness. I know you fear replacement. You fear that if you hesitate, someone else will take your place. That fear does not come from truth. What is yours cannot be stolen. What is meant for you cannot be reassigned. I do not operate on scarcity. I do not rescind invitations because of momentary hesitation. This door remains open because it is anchored in my promise, not your speed. Let your heart release the pressure to perform. You do not need to prove that you deserve this. You do not need to justify why you are here. Simply receive the reality that I have chosen you, not because you are flawless, but because you are willing, because you are teachable, because you know how to listen. Stand here for a moment longer and let this truth settle into your spirit. You are not stepping into someone else's calling. You are not walking a borrowed path. You are entering a space prepared with intention, patience, and care. This door recognizes you when you touch it. This door responds to your presence. This door opens because you arrived. And as you take in this moment, I want you to remember this forever. When I open a door with your name on it, no voice can rename it, no doubt can unwrite it, and no fear can disqualify you from walking through. It is yours, my beloved child. My beloved child, I want to speak to the quiet question that still lingers in you, the one you may not say out loud but feel in your chest. Why now? You have wondered why the door did not open sooner, why it waited until this exact moment in your life. Hear me with tenderness, because this answer is wrapped in love. The door opened when you were ready, not when you were eager, not when you were desperate, but when you were ready. Readiness is not what the world teaches. The world calls you ready when you are loud enough, strong enough, or impressive enough. But I look deeper. I look at what you can carry without losing your peace. I look at what you can hold without letting pride or fear take control. I look at whether your heart can receive increase without forgetting who you are. That kind of readiness cannot be rushed. There was a time when this opening would have overwhelmed you. You might have smiled on the outside while breaking on the inside. You might have confused opportunity with identity and allowed success to define your worth. I protected you from that version of yourself, not because you were weak, but because you were still healing. You needed time to recover from wounds you did not choose. You needed space to unlearn survival patterns that once kept you safe but would have limited you later. You needed seasons where nothing changed outwardly so something could change inwardly. I was not wasting your time. I was strengthening your foundation. My beloved child, you are not stepping forward as someone trying to prove they belong. You are stepping forward as someone who knows how to stay grounded even when life accelerates. You have learned how to breathe in uncertainty. You have learned how to trust me without constant reassurance. These lessons matter more than talent or speed. There were emotions I needed to settle in you before this door opened. Old anger that would have poisoned new beginnings. Old grief that would have made every joy feel fragile. Old fear that would have caused you to sabotage what you prayed for. I gently tended to those places while you waited, even when you did not realize it. I know the waiting felt long. I know there were moments you felt invisible, as though nothing significant was happening. But readiness often feels quiet. It feels like standing still while the world rushes past. Yet in that stillness, you were becoming someone who could sustain what is coming. You are ready now because you can say no without guilt. You are ready now because you can pause without panic. You are ready now because your confidence no longer depends on applause. You are ready now because you know how to listen, how to discern, and how to rest. These are not small achievements. These are markers of maturity. Do not underestimate what it means that you can walk through this door without abandoning yourself. That is readiness. Do not overlook the fact that you can receive without clinging, build without striving, and move forward without forgetting me. That is readiness. I know part of you wishes you had arrived here sooner. You imagine how much more you could have done, how far you could be by now. Release that thought. Earlier access would not have meant greater impact. It would have meant heavier damage. I was not delaying your life. I was preserving it. What you carry now is steadiness. What you carry now is wisdom earned through endurance. What you carry now is compassion shaped by waiting. These are the qualities that will allow you to walk through this door and remain whole on the other side. So when doubt whispers that you are late, answer it with truth. You are not late. You are aligned. When fear suggests you missed your prime, remind it that I do not operate on expiration dates. I operate on purpose, and purpose unfolds when the heart is strong enough to hold it. My beloved child, the door did not wait because you were unworthy. It waited because you were becoming. Now you can step forward without losing your peace. Now you can receive without fear. Now you can walk through what I have opened with confidence and rest. This is why it opened now. My beloved child, I want you to lift your eyes from what once stood against you and see it clearly now. What tried to stop you has lost its power. I know it felt strong at the time. I know it spoke loudly, pressed heavily, and made you question whether you would ever move forward. But its strength came from your uncertainty, not from its authority. And that season has passed. There were forces that resisted you, some visible, some hidden, some born from fear, others from misunderstanding. There were moments when opposition felt personal, when obstacles seemed intentionally placed in your path. You wondered why progress always came with resistance, why every step forward felt like a struggle. Hear me now. Resistance does not mean defeat. Often, it means you are close to something meaningful. What opposed you was never greater than me. It was only louder in the moment. I allowed you to face pressure so you could learn where your strength truly comes from. I allowed you to feel resistance so you would stop relying on your own effort and start leaning into my presence. Opposition revealed to you what mattered, what needed healing, and what could no longer control you. It exposed fear so it could be released. It exposed doubt so it could be answered with truth. Think of how storms test the roots of a tree. Winds do not strengthen branches by avoiding them. They strengthen them by challenging them. In the same way, what tried to stop you forced your roots deeper. You learned how to stand when everything around you shook. You learned how to remain steady when outcomes were uncertain. That strength remains with you now. Some of what opposed you came through people, words that diminished you, decisions that excluded you, silence that made you feel invisible. But people only act from what they see, and they could not see what I was building in you. Their actions were temporary. My purpose is permanent. Some of what opposed you came from circumstances, closed paths, limited resources, unexpected setbacks. You felt trapped at times, boxed in by conditions you could not control. But those conditions were never meant to define your future. They were boundaries for a season, not walls forever. And some of what opposed you came from within. Old fears, old narratives, old wounds that whispered you were not enough. Those internal voices were often the loudest. They slowed you down more than any external obstacle. But you did not ignore them. You faced them. You questioned them. You brought them into the light. That took courage. Now listen carefully, my beloved child. What once intimidated you no longer holds the same weight. What once made you shrink no longer has authority over your decisions. What once caused you to doubt yourself has been stripped of its power. Not because it disappeared, but because you changed. You are no longer the same person standing in front of this door. You are not as easily shaken. You are not as easily discouraged. You have learned discernment. You have learned patience. You have learned that fear does not deserve the final word. These lessons change the balance of power. Opposition thrives where there is confusion, but clarity weakens it. Fear thrives where there is isolation, but presence dissolves it. Doubt thrives where there is silence, but truth dismantles it. And you now carry clarity, presence, and truth within you. Do not be surprised if remnants of resistance try to speak again as you move forward. Old patterns sometimes echo even after their authority is gone. But echoes cannot stop movement. Shadows cannot block doors. They only appear large when light is low. You are walking in greater light now. You do not need to confront what opposed you. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to replay battles that are already finished. Keep your focus ahead. Forward movement renders old resistance irrelevant. I want you to understand this deeply. The door did not open because resistance disappeared. The door opened because resistance no longer had the power to stop you. That is a very different thing. Strength is not the absence of opposition. It is the presence of trust. So walk without carrying old fear. Walk without rehearsing old failures. Walk without expecting resistance to win again. What tried to stop you has already lost its influence over who you are becoming. My beloved child, you are not stepping forward under threat. You are stepping forward under protection. What once stood in your way now stands behind you, powerless to follow. Keep moving. The way ahead is clear. My beloved child, I want to quiet one of the deepest fears you carry, the one that returns when things finally begin to move, the fear that you missed your moment. I know how that thought has followed you. It whispers that if you had acted sooner, chosen differently, spoken up earlier, your life would look different now. It tells you that opportunity belongs to the young, the fast, the fearless, and that you arrived after the window closed. But listen to me now, and let this truth settle gently into your spirit. You did not miss your moment. Moments do not outrun my children. Purpose does not expire. What I have written over your life cannot be canceled by hesitation, delay, or detours. I am not bound by clocks or calendars the way you are. I do not measure your life by speed. I measure it by alignment. There were paths you did not take, and that is true. There were decisions you reconsidered, steps you delayed, risks you avoided. But none of those disqualified you. None of them surprised me. I wove even your pauses into the story I am telling through you. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was lost. I know you replay certain memories, wondering how things might have turned out if you had known then what you know now. But wisdom often comes through time, not before it. You could not have acted with today's clarity in yesterday's version of yourself. You did the best you could with the understanding you had. That is not failure. That is humanity learning to trust. My beloved child, the idea that you are behind is an illusion born from comparison. You see fragments of other people's journeys and assume they arrived where you are meant to be. But you are not late to someone else's life. You are on time for your own. Their pace is not your standard. Their timeline is not your measure. I am not rushing you to catch up. I am inviting you to be present. There are seasons where I slow my children down on purpose, not to frustrate them, but to keep them from stepping into places that would cost them more than they realize. Speed without readiness leads to damage. Momentum without wisdom leads to regret. I guarded you from that, even when it felt like loss. You did not miss your moment because your moment is not a single point in time. It is a season. It unfolds. It expands. It waits until you can enter it whole, not desperate, not fragmented, not driven by fear of falling behind. You are stepping into it now with awareness, with maturity, with depth. I know there were times you thought life passed you by. You watched doors open for others while yours remained closed. You smiled politely while disappointment settled quietly inside. But hear me clearly, life was not passing you by. It was shaping you for something that required patience, resilience, and trust. What you are entering now would not have sustained the earlier version of you. You might have gained access but lost peace. You might have achieved success, but at the cost of your identity. I value your wholeness more than your speed. So release the grief over what you think you missed. Release the shame over moments you wish you could redo. Release the pressure to make up for lost time. You do not need to rush to prove anything. You do not need to overcompensate. I am not asking you to sprint. I am inviting you to walk with me. Look at where you are now. You are more discerning. You are more grounded. You are more compassionate. You know how to listen. You know how to wait without losing hope. These qualities did not delay your moment. They prepared you for it. Your story is not behind schedule. It is unfolding exactly as it should. My beloved child, you are not standing at the end of something you missed. You are standing at the beginning of something you are ready for. The past cannot disqualify you. The future is not closed to you. The present is alive with possibility. Trust me here. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be to step forward now. And your moment is still waiting for you, open and full of grace. My beloved child, now that you see the door standing open and understand that you have not missed your moment, I want to speak to the hesitation still resting in your body. I feel it when your breath shortens at the thought of moving forward. I hear it in the quiet pause before you say yes. This is not weakness. This is awareness. And I want to guide you gently through it. Walk forward without fear. I know fear has been a familiar companion. It has tried to protect you by warning you of what could go wrong. It reminds you of past pain, of times when hope rose too quickly and fell too hard. Fear learned its language from disappointment, not from truth. It speaks loudly when something matters, but it does not get to lead you anymore. You are not being pushed through this door. You are being invited. Fear tells you to wait until you feel completely ready, completely certain, completely confident. But confidence does not come before the step. It comes because of it. Peace follows obedience, not endless analysis. I am not asking you to eliminate fear before you move. I am asking you to move knowing I am with you. You do not need to see the entire path ahead. Doors are thresholds, not maps. They reveal what is next, not everything. If I showed you the whole journey at once, it would overwhelm you. So I give you enough light for the next step, and I stay close so you are never alone in it. Fear will try to make you believe that caution is wisdom. Sometimes it is. But there is a difference between discernment and paralysis. Discernment listens and then moves. Paralysis listens and then freezes. You are not meant to be frozen at the entrance of your own future. My beloved child, I am not waiting for you to be fearless. I am waiting for you to trust me more than you trust your fear. There is grace for your first step. There is patience for your pace. You do not need to rush to prove courage. Courage is not loud. It is quiet and steady. It looks like putting one foot forward even when your voice trembles. I know you are afraid of making the wrong move. Afraid of misinterpreting this opening. Afraid of stepping forward and realizing you misunderstood me. Hear me clearly. I am not tricking you. I do not lead my children into confusion and then punish them for trying. If your heart is turned toward me, I will redirect you if needed. You are safer moving with me than standing still without me. You may stumble. You may hesitate. You may take a step and then pause again. None of that disqualifies you. Fear says failure ends everything. I say learning continues everything. I am not measuring your journey by perfection. I am walking it with you in patience. Let go of the need to control the outcome. Control is often fear dressed as responsibility. Trust feels risky because it requires surrender. But surrender does not mean losing yourself. It means placing yourself in hands that know you fully and love you completely. I want you to imagine this moment as a child learning to walk. The child looks up, unsure, wobbling but moving toward safety and love. I am not standing with crossed arms, waiting to judge your steps. I am kneeling, arms open, ready to catch you if you fall, smiling as you try. Fear says, what if it hurts again? Love says, what if it heals? Fear says, what if you fail? Love says, what if you grow? Fear says, what if you are disappointed? Love says, what if you finally receive? You have carried fear long enough. It taught you caution, and now its lesson is complete. You can thank it for trying to protect you, and then gently ask it to step aside. It did not get to guide you through this door. I am here. I will not rush you. I will not abandon you mid-step. Every pace you take with me is safe, even when it feels unfamiliar. So breathe, my beloved child. Loosen your grip on the past. Lift your eyes from imagined outcomes. Take the next step without fear, not because fear is gone, but because love is greater. My beloved child, as you begin to move beyond this door, I want you to understand where it leads. It does not lead back into what you already know. It does not lead into smallness or limitation. This door opens into expansion, and expansion can feel both beautiful and unfamiliar at the same time. Expansion stretches you. It asks more of you than survival ever did. Survival taught you how to endure, how to conserve energy, how to protect your heart. Expansion teaches you how to grow, how to receive, how to trust abundance without fear of loss. A transition can feel unsettling if you are not prepared for it. You have learned how to live with just enough. You became skilled at managing lack, navigating uncertainty, and making peace with less. Those skills carried you through difficult seasons, and I honor them. but they were never meant to define your future. They were meant to sustain you until growth became possible. This door leads to more space, more responsibility, more influence, more opportunity, more visibility. Expansion is not only about increase, it is about capacity. It is about becoming someone who can hold more without breaking, who can steward more without fear, who can remain grounded even as life widens. Do not be surprised if part of you resists this growth. Familiar limitations can feel safer than unfamiliar freedom. You knew how to function in constricted places. You learned how to manage disappointment. But expansion invites you to believe that there is room for joy without collapse, room for success without punishment, room for peace without interruption. You may feel stretched emotionally. New experiences may awaken parts of you that were dormant. And new responsibilities may ask you to speak when you once stayed silent, to lead when you once followed, to trust your voice when you once doubted it. The stretching is not harm. It is growth. Expansion does not mean losing yourself. It means discovering more of who you are. It does not erase your past. It redeems it. Everything you endured becomes material for wisdom. Every tear becomes insight. Every delay becomes discernment. Nothing is wasted when growth is guided by love. My beloved child, you do not need to rush to fill every space expansion creates. Growth unfolds gradually. You will not be asked to carry everything at once. I give increase in measures that strengthen, not crush. When it feels like more than you can handle, pause and remember, you are not carrying this alone. Expansion also requires release. You cannot move into larger spaces while holding on to everything from smaller ones. Some habits, mindsets, and relationships belong to the season of survival. They helped you then, but they cannot accompany you now. Letting go does not dishonor the past. It honors the growth that made new space possible. You may grieve what you release. That is natural. Even good things can become too small for where you are going. Grief does not mean you are moving backward. It means you are moving forward honestly. This expansion will also invite new connections. People who align with who you are becoming, not who you were forced to be. You will find yourself drawn to conversations that nourish you, environments that challenge you gently, and opportunities that resonate with your deeper values. Pay attention to what brings peace alongside excitement. That is alignment. Do not confuse expansion with pressure to perform. You are not being expanded so you can prove something. You are being expanded so you can express something. What I placed inside you needs room to breathe, to move, to bless others without exhausting you. There may be moments when expansion feels uncomfortable, when you long for the simplicity of smaller spaces. That does not mean you made the wrong choice. It means you are adjusting to growth. Muscles stretch before they strengthen. Hearts open before they trust fully. This discomfort is temporary. I am not pushing you into expansion without support. I am walking with you through it. When you feel overwhelmed, slow down. When you feel uncertain, ask me. When you feel stretched thin, rest. Expansion does not require constant motion. It requires presence. My beloved child, this door leads to a wider life, not a heavier one. It leads to more freedom, not more fear. It leads to growth that honors who you are, not demands you abandon yourself. Step forward knowing this. Expansion is not a test you must pass. It is a gift you are learning to receive. My beloved child, I want you to know this with certainty as you step further into what I have opened. Heaven is backing this step. You are not moving forward on fragile ground. You are not walking into uncertainty without covering. There is alignment around you that you cannot yet see, but you will feel it as peace that steadies you even when circumstances are new. When I support a step, I do not do it halfway. I place protection around you, provision beneath you, and clarity within you. Even when questions remain unanswered, there is a deep assurance forming in your spirit that says, "This is right." That assurance is not excitement alone. It is quiet confidence rooted in trust. You may still encounter challenges. Support does not mean the absence of difficulty. It means difficulty no longer has the power to derail you. What once would have exhausted you will now refine you. What once would have discouraged you will now strengthen your discernment. Heaven's backing does not remove growth. It ensures growth leads somewhere good. There are conversations already being prepared for you. There are opportunities aligning without your effort. There are resources moving into place in ways you could not orchestrate. You do not need to chase them. What is meant for you will meet you as you walk forward in obedience. I know you are learning to trust this support without needing constant signs. That is maturity. Faith does not demand proof at every step. It rests in relationship. You are learning to recognize my voice not only in miracles, but in peace, in timing, in doors opening without struggle. Let your heart release the need to strive. Striving assumes you are alone. You are not. This step is supported not because you earned it, but because I am faithful. I do not abandon my children mid-journey. What I authorize, I accompany. And now, my beloved child, if these words are confirming what you already sense in your spirit, bless this message with a like. Let others who are standing at their own threshold find reassurance through it. Share this message with those who need to know they are not walking alone. Subscribe so you can continue to receive these reminders of my presence. And I ask you especially, hype this video. Lift it up so it reaches hearts that are quietly waiting for confirmation that heaven is backing their next step too. And now, hear me as I speak to your role in sustaining this flow of light. I am the one who calls my children to sow into good ground, and I say to you now, this message is soil for souls. When you release your support through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal donation link provided, you are pouring water on seeds you may never meet. But I will. I declare over you that as you give, rivers will not run dry in your own life. I speak increase over your obedience, peace over your household, and clarity over your decisions. This is not a request. It is a moment of alignment. Do not delay when I am prompting your heart. Act now, and let your generosity become a doorway through which many will find hope. Return your focus to me, my beloved child. Heaven's backing means you do not have to fear collapse. It means even if plans shift, you will not fall. It means even when you feel unsure, you are still supported. There is grace beneath every step, even the hesitant ones. You are not being tested to see if you fail. You are being trusted with something meaningful. That trust is not given lightly. It rests on the relationship we have built through waiting, through healing, through quiet endurance. So continue forward with steadiness. Let confidence grow naturally. You do not need to announce this step loudly. You only need to take it faithfully. Heaven is not watching from a distance. Heaven is involved. Heaven is backing this step. And I remain with you, always. My beloved child, I want you to pause here and recognize something sacred about yourself. What you carry is needed beyond this door. You are not stepping forward empty-handed. You are not arriving to learn everything from the beginning. You are bringing with you something rare, something shaped carefully through seasons you once questioned. You carry empathy that cannot be taught in comfort. You carry wisdom that did not come from theory, but from lived experience. You carry patience forged in waiting, discernment formed in silence, and compassion born from pain you never thought you would survive. These are not weaknesses. They are the very things that make room for others to breathe when they encounter you. There are spaces ahead where your presence will steady what is fragile. There are conversations ahead where your listening will heal what words never could. There are moments ahead where your story, spoken or unspoken, will give someone else permission to hope again. This is why you needed depth before access. This is why your journey could not be rushed. You may still feel unqualified at times. You may think you need more knowledge, more confidence, more certainty before you can truly contribute. But hear me clearly. I do not call my children forward because they are complete. I call them forward because they are willing to let what they carry be used in love. What you carry is not loud, but it is strong. It does not demand attention, but it commands trust. It creates safety without effort. That kind of presence is needed in places where noise has exhausted people and performance has left them empty. You have learned how to sit with discomfort without needing to fix it immediately. You have learned how to speak gently without losing truth. You have learned how to stay when things feel uncertain. These qualities are rare, and they are needed where you are going. My beloved child, do not underestimate the power of your sensitivity. The world often taught you to hide it, to toughen up, to move faster. But sensitivity, when guided by wisdom, becomes discernment. It allows you to see what others miss, to feel what others ignore, to respond with care instead of reaction. There will be moments ahead when you realize why you went through what you did, not in a way that glorifies pain, but in a way that redeems it. You will recognize familiar struggles in others, and you will know how to meet them without judgment. That recognition is not accidental. It is part of your purpose. You do not need to become someone else to be effective. You do not need to imitate louder voices or stronger personalities. What you carry works because it is yours. Authenticity has a reach that imitation never will. I know you sometimes fear that your past disqualifies you, that if people knew what you struggled with, they would doubt your credibility. But your honesty will be your strength. Your humility will open doors pride cannot. Your willingness to grow will speak louder than perfection ever could. Beyond this door, there are roles you will step into naturally, not because you sought them, but because others will recognize something steady in you. Leadership does not always look like standing in front. Sometimes it looks like creating space where others can rise safely. Do not rush to define what you carry. Let it reveal itself over time. Purpose unfolds as you walk, not before you move. You will discover new facets of yourself as you respond to real needs, real people, real moments. My beloved child, you are not going to impress people. You are going to impact them. You are not going to overwhelm them. You are going to understand them. That is the difference between success and significance. What you carry is enough for the next step. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to remain open, teachable, and connected to me. I will guide how and when what you carry is released. Trust this. I would not open a door if what you bring was unnecessary. I would not invite you forward if your presence did not matter. I would not lead you here if what you carry was not needed. Carry it gently. Carry it faithfully. And watch how it becomes more than you ever imagined. My beloved child, as you stand fully aware of what you carried and where you are going, I want to speak to a subtle pull that may try to slow your steps. It is the urge to look back for permission. You may not even realize you are doing it. It appears as hesitation, as over-explaining, as waiting for reassurance from voices that were never meant to lead you forward. I want you to hear me clearly now. You do not need permission from the past to walk into what I have prepared. There were seasons when you needed affirmation to survive. You needed agreement to feel safe. You needed reassurance to believe you were allowed to continue. That was not weakness. That was where you were. But this season is different. The voice you must trust now is the one within you that recognizes my peace. Looking back for permission often comes from loyalty to old versions of yourself, or to people who were present when you were still becoming. You fear that moving forward without their understanding somehow betrays them. But growth is not betrayal. Obedience to me does not dishonor anyone. It simply honors the truth of who you are now. There will be those who do not understand your movement. Not because it is wrong, but because it does not fit the version of you they are comfortable with. They learned how to relate to you in smaller spaces, quieter roles, more limited expressions. Expansion changes dynamics. That does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means you are growing. My beloved child, you cannot carry everyone with you through every door. Some people were assigned to your past, not your future. That does not make them unimportant. It simply means their role was seasonal. Releasing the need for their approval frees both you and them. Do not slow your obedience to explain yourself to those who never asked about your prayers, your tears, or your private wrestling. They did not walk the nights with you. They did not sit in the silence with you. I did, and my understanding is enough. Looking back for permission also sounds like doubting yourself, replaying decisions, asking repeatedly if you are sure, waiting for one more sign, one more confirmation, one more voice to agree. Discernment asks once and listens. Fear asks endlessly and never moves. You are not being led by fear anymore. You know the difference between impulsive desire and settled peace. You have learned how my guidance feels in your body, in your spirit, in your breath. Trust that. I am not unclear with my children. When I speak, it aligns, even if it stretches you. There is a time to reflect, and there is a time to move. Reflection teaches. Movement builds. You have reflected long enough. Now is the time to walk forward without turning back to see who is watching. My beloved child, when you look back for permission, you divide your attention. One foot moves forward while your heart stays behind. Attention creates exhaustion. Peace comes when your direction and your focus align. Face forward fully. That is where life is opening. I am not asking you to harden your heart toward anyone. I am asking you to anchor your obedience in me. You can love people without living under their expectations. You can honor the past without returning to it. You can be grateful for what was while embracing what is becoming. Some of the bravest steps you will take will be quiet ones. Steps taken without announcement, without explanation, without defense. Those steps carry power because they are rooted in truth, not reaction. If guilt tries to rise when you move forward, recognize it for what it is, an old habit trying to maintain control. Guilt is not a guide. Peace is, and peace is present with you now. My beloved child, you are not walking away from who you were. You are carrying the best of it with you. You are not abandoning your story. You are continuing it. And you are not moving alone. I am with you, closer now than ever. So lift your eyes. Release the backward glance. Let the past remain where it belongs. Walk forward without asking permission from what cannot follow you. I have already said yes. My beloved child, now that your gaze is fixed forward and your heart is no longer divided, I want you to understand something beautiful about this door you are walking through. This is not only a door of opportunity. It is a door of restoration. What lies beyond it is not merely new. It is healing, renewing, and quietly repairing what you thought was lost forever. Restoration does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes gently, like breath returning after a long season of holding it in. You may have imagined restoration as a sudden reversal, a dramatic moment where everything broken is instantly made whole. But more often, restoration unfolds through steady grace, through small moments that slowly rebuild trust, joy, and hope. There are parts of you that were strained by waiting, dreams that felt deferred, confidence that learned to stay low, joy that learned to be cautious. I see all of it, and I want you to know that I am not ignoring those places as you move forward. I am tending to them. This door leads you into spaces where you will begin to feel like yourself again, not the hardened version that survived, but the truer version that once hoped freely. You will notice laughter returning without guilt. You will notice energy rising without anxiety. You will notice creativity flowing without fear of disappointment. These are signs of restoration at work. You may also experience restoration in relationships. Some will be healed. Some will be clarified. Some will gently fade to make room for healthier connections. Restoration is not always about returning things to how they were. Sometimes it is about returning you to peace, even if the form looks different than before. My beloved child, there were losses you did not fully grieve because you had to keep going. You carried on when your heart needed rest. You adapted when you needed comfort. I have not forgotten those moments. Restoration allows you to acknowledge what hurt without reopening the wound. It allows you to honor what was without being trapped by it. This door also leads to restoration of identity. You may have learned to define yourself by roles, by responsibilities, by how much you could endure. But beyond this threshold, you will begin to remember who you are apart from struggle. You are more than what you survived. You are more than what you produced. You are more than what you lost. Restoration reminds you of your worth without demanding proof. You may feel moments of grief alongside healing. That does not mean restoration is failing. It means your heart is becoming honest again. Healing does not erase memory. It redeems it. It allows you to carry your story without being crushed by it. I know you fear reopening old pain. You worry that if you let yourself feel again, you might break. But you are not as fragile as you once were. You are stronger now, not because you hardened, but because you learned how to hold pain without losing yourself. Restoration trusts that strength. This door leads you into a rhythm where effort is balanced with rest, where ambition no longer replaces connection, where progress does not demand self-abandonment. You will learn how to move forward without burning out, how to build without losing peace, how to give without emptying yourself. My beloved child, restoration does not rush. He respects your pace. If some days feel slower than others, that is not failure. It is wisdom. Healing unfolds layer by layer, not all at once. You do not need to force it. Simply remain open. There will be moments when you realize something no longer hurts the way it used to. You will pause and notice the absence of heaviness. That quiet relief is restoration. There will be moments when you respond differently than you once did, with calm instead of fear, with clarity instead of confusion. That is restoration. And there will be moments when gratitude rises unexpectedly, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer carrying everything alone. That is restoration too. My beloved child, this door does not erase your past. It integrates it into a future where it no longer controls you. What was broken is not being ignored. It is being tended with care. Step forward knowing this. You are not just moving into something new. You are being restored as you go, My beloved child, as you continue forward through this open door, I want to settle your heart about what you cannot yet see. You may feel excitement mixed with uncertainty, courage mixed with questions. That is natural. But listen closely now, because this truth will steady you. I have already gone ahead of you. You are not stepping into chaos. You are not entering unknown territory without preparation. Every place you are moving toward has already been touched by my presence. I do not invite my children into spaces I have not first prepared. What feels unfamiliar to you is not unfamiliar to me. Ahead of you are paths that will feel surprisingly clear, even when you expected resistance. There are moments where timing will align in ways you could not have planned. There are answers waiting that will meet you just as questions rise. This is not coincidence. This is provision placed in advance. I know you sometimes worry about what you will do when challenges appear. You imagine future moments and wonder if you will have the strength, the words, the wisdom you need. My beloved child, you do not need tomorrow's strength today. I supply what is needed when it is needed. I always have. I have gone ahead of you into conversations you have not yet had. I have gone ahead of you into decisions you have not yet faced. I have gone ahead of you into environments that still feel intimidating in your mind. When you arrive, you will not arrive alone. You will step into places already softened by my presence. There are obstacles you fear that will never materialize. There are doors you think you must force that will open with ease. There are outcomes you dread that will dissolve before they reach you. Your imagination has been busy, but my preparation is deeper. Trust is easier when you know someone has gone before you. That is why I tell you this now. You are not blazing a trail alone. You are following where I have already walked. Every step you take is a step into ground that has been secured. You may not recognize my preparation immediately. Sometimes it looks like unexpected kindness. Sometimes it looks like delays that redirect you away from harm. Sometimes it looks like closed doors that protect you from paths that would have drained you. Preparation does not always feel pleasant, but it is always purposeful. I know you fear making the wrong choice. You wonder if one decision could undo everything. Hear me gently. I am bigger than a wrong turn. If your heart remains open and your spirit remains willing, I will guide you even through missteps. I do not abandon my children because they are human. When you arrive at moments that require courage, you will find it waiting. When you arrive at moments that require wisdom, you will sense clarity forming. When you arrive at moments that require patience, you will feel peace settling you. These are not accidents. They are evidence that I have been there before you. My beloved child, I am not sending you forward and watching from a distance. I am actively involved. I adjust what needs adjusting. I remove what would harm you. I strengthen what will support you. Even when you are unaware, I am attentive. There will be times when you feel behind, when you think you should understand more by now. Be gentle with yourself. Growth does not require urgency. You are allowed to learn as you go. I am not disappointed by your questions. I am present in them. What lies ahead is not a test you must pass to earn my approval. You already have my love. What lies ahead is an unfolding of purpose, of confidence, of peace you have not yet experienced. You do not need to carry the weight of the future on your shoulders. That weight belongs to me. So when uncertainty tries to rise, remind yourself of this truth. Say it quietly if you need to. I am not alone. The way has been prepared. The path has been considered. The timing has been arranged. My beloved child, you are not stepping into emptiness. You are stepping into preparation. I have gone ahead of you, and I will remain with you. Walk forward with trust. You are safe to continue. My beloved child, even as you step into what has been prepared ahead of you, I want to quiet another fear that sometimes rises in moments of transition, the fear of walking alone. New seasons can feel isolating. Familiar voices fade, routines change, and the comfort of what you knew gives way to something unfamiliar. In those moments, loneliness can whisper that you have been left to figure things out by yourself. But listen to me now with a calm and steady heart. You will not walk alone. I have not brought you this far to abandon you at the threshold of something new. I do not open doors and then withdraw my presence. Where you go, I go. When you pause, I pause with you. When you feel unsure, I am closer than your breath. There were seasons when you felt unseen, when you carried burdens quietly because you did not want to trouble anyone. You learned how to be strong in silence. That strength served you then, but it is not meant to isolate you now. This season is not about enduring alone. It is about learning how to walk with trust, with companionship, and with support you can finally receive. You may notice that some people who once walked closely with you are no longer beside you. That can ache in unexpected ways. But absence does not always mean loss. Sometimes it means alignment is shifting. New seasons require new rhythms, new connections, new forms of support. I am attentive to that. I am not leaving gaps without intention. You will encounter people who meet you where you are now, not where you were. They may not replace anyone from the past, but they will bring something different: understanding, encouragement, perspective. Allow those connections to form naturally. You do not need to force them. I am weaving them into your path. And when no one else seems to understand what you are carrying, remember this: I always do. I hear the questions you do not voice. I feel the weight you try to manage quietly. I notice the courage it takes to keep moving even when certainty feels thin. You are never unseen by me. There will be moments ahead when decisions feel heavy. You may wish someone could simply tell you what to do. In those moments, turn inward and listen. I speak through peace, through restraint, through gentle conviction. I am not absent when you feel unsure. I am present, teaching you how to discern. My beloved child, solitude and loneliness are not the same. Solitude can be a place of clarity and renewal. Loneliness drains and isolates. I do not lead my children into loneliness. When solitude appears, it is often an invitation to deepen your awareness of my nearness. You do not need to fill every quiet moment with noise or distraction. Let some spaces remain open. In those spaces, you will sense guidance forming. You will feel strength rising that does not depend on external affirmation. You will learn how to stand steady even when others are not immediately beside you. Remember how many times in the past you thought you were alone, only to realize later that you were being carried through something you could not have survived by yourself. That was not coincidence. That was my presence sustaining you even when you could not feel it. I am not only with you in spiritual moments. I am with you in ordinary ones. In your work, in your rest, in your conversations, in your pauses. You do not need to summon me. You do not need special words. I am already there. As you continue forward, you may feel moments of vulnerability. Let them come. Vulnerability is not danger when you are held. It is a sign that you are no longer hiding. You are learning how to trust safety instead of bracing for harm. My beloved child, walking with me does not mean you will never feel uncertain. It means uncertainty will never face you alone. When you stumble, I steady you. When you grow tired, I strengthen you. When you rejoice, I rejoice with you. So release the fear of isolation. You are not being sent away. You are being accompanied. I am with you in front of the door. I am with you as you step through it. I am with you on every path that follows. You are not alone. You never have been. And you never will be. My beloved child, as you walk further into this new space, I want to speak gently but firmly about something that cannot follow you through this door. Old labels must be left behind. They served a purpose once, perhaps helping you make sense of pain or survive misunderstanding, but they do not belong to who you are becoming. You have been called many things by circumstances, by people, and even by your own inner voice. Some labels were spoken carelessly. Some were attached during moments of failure. Some were formed in seasons when you were still learning who you were. Over time, they began to feel familiar, even when they were heavy. Familiar does not mean true. There was a time when you accepted names that reduced you to your mistakes, your fears, or your limitations. You learned to introduce yourself through what went wrong instead of what was growing right. You allowed moments to define you instead of understanding that moments pass, but identity remains. That way of seeing yourself helped you cope, but it also kept you small. My beloved child, those labels cannot enter this next season. You are not who you were when you were hurting the most. You are not who you were when you were confused. You are not who you were when you were reacting instead of discerning. Growth has taken place, even when you could not see it clearly. Healing has shifted you quietly. Wisdom has formed without announcement. Old labels often cling because they promise predictability. I tell you what to expect from yourself and from life. Releasing them can feel unsettling because it opens the door to possibility, and possibility requires trust. But I did not bring you here to remain predictable. I brought you here to be free. You may still hear those old names echo at times. That does not mean they are true. It means they were repeated long enough to sound convincing. When they arise, do not fight them with force. Simply replace them with truth. Truth does not argue. It stands. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not a disappointment. You are not defined by what you could not control. Those names do not fit anymore. As you step forward, there will be moments when you instinctively shrink, when you hesitate to take up space, when you apologize for your presence. Those reactions come from old labels trying to reassert themselves. Pause in those moments. Breathe. Remember who you are now. You are allowed to take up space without guilt. You are allowed to speak without over-explaining. You are allowed to be seen without hiding parts of yourself. This door opens into a place where you do not need to earn belonging. You belong because you are mine. My beloved child, identity is not something you achieve. It is something you receive and grow into. The more you walk in truth, the less power old labels have. They fall away naturally when they no longer match who you are. There may be people who still see you through old lenses. They may speak to you as if nothing has changed. That can sting, but you are not required to shrink to fit their expectations. You are not obligated to correct them either. Let your life speak over time. Consistency reveals truth better than defense. Do not bring shame with you into this new space. Shame is an old label that pretends to keep you humble while quietly eroding your confidence. True humility does not deny growth. It honors grace. You can acknowledge how far you have come without arrogance and without apology. This season invites you to practice a new way of relating to yourself. Speak to yourself with patience. And notice progress instead of only gaps. Allow room for learning without self-punishment. You are not starting over. You are continuing. I know releasing old labels can feel like stepping into unfamiliar ground. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It means uncharted, and I am with you there. You do not need to carry the weight of who you were to prove anything about who you were. My beloved child, what you bring through this door matters. Old labels will only distort it. Leave them gently behind. They do not get to define your future. Walk forward as who you are now, not who you once had to be. This space is made for your freedom. My beloved child, now comes a moment where everything within you may feel both still and stirred at the same time. You have seen the door. You have understood the preparation. You have released what could not follow. Now I speak to you with gentle authority. Step through with trust. Trust is not the absence of questions. Trust is the decision to move while questions remain. You have asked enough. You have reflected deeply. You have healed honestly. This step is not reckless. It is ripe. What you feel now is not pressure. It is invitation. I know control has once felt like safety to you. When life was unpredictable, control gave you something to hold on to. But control cannot take you where trust can. Control keeps you managing. Trust allows you to receive. And what lies beyond this door cannot be managed into existence. It must be entered. Stepping through does not mean you suddenly know everything. It means you are willing to learn in motion. It means you allow me to guide you moment by moment instead of demanding the full plan in advance. I do not withhold clarity to frustrate you. I release it in stages to keep you close. You may feel a pull to hesitate just a little longer, to wait until conditions feel perfect. But perfection is not a requirement I place on my children. Willingness is. A soft yes moves heaven more than a fearful may be held on to too long. Trust does not shout. It settles. It feels like a quiet resolve beneath your breath. It feels like peace that does not depend on circumstances. That peace is present with you now. Follow it. As you step through, do not carry the weight of outcome. Outcomes belong to me. Your role is obedience, presence, and honesty. When you stumble, trust does not collapse. It adjusts. When you learn something new, trust expands. This is a living relationship, not a rigid test. My beloved child, this step matters not because it proves something, but because it aligns you. Alignment brings ease even when effort is required. You will notice that things begin to flow where they once resisted. That is not because everything becomes easy, but because you are no longer fighting the direction of grace. Now, let this moment ripple outward. If these words are strengthening your resolve, bless this message with a like. Share it with someone standing at their own threshold. Subscribe so you can continue to walk in these reminders of my presence. And I ask you clearly, hype this video. Lift it up so it reaches hearts that are quietly waiting for permission to trust and step forward too. And now, my beloved child, I speak to you about sowing, because this step you are taking is not only personal, it is communal. I am the one who multiplies seed when it is released in faith, and I say to you now, let your generosity become a door for others. When you give through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description and shown through the QR code, you are not supporting a message, you are carrying light into rooms you may never enter yourself. I say to you, as you sow into this work, I open rivers where you feared drought, I pour oil where there was friction, and I cause your obedience to echo in lives far beyond your reach. This is your moment to respond, not later, not someday, now. I bless your giving as a prophetic act, and I command increase, peace, and clarity to follow you. Act, and let generosity become the language of your trust. Return your heart to me now. Stepping through with trust does not mean you rush. It means you commit. You place your weight on what I have said instead of what fear suggests. You move knowing I am steady beneath you. Do not wait for your confidence to catch up with your obedience. Confidence will grow as you walk. Do not wait for applause. This step is sacred even if it is quiet. My beloved child, trust is the bridge between promise and fulfillment. You are standing on it now. So step through, not because you are fearless, but because you are held. My beloved child, as you step fully through this door and allow trust to carry you forward, I want you to understand what this path opens into. This door leads to overflow, not the kind the world chases, but the kind that restores, sustains, and blesses without consuming you. Overflow is not excess for display. It is abundance with purpose. It is having enough within you that you no longer lie from emptiness or fear of running out. For so long, you learned how to ration your energy, your hope, your love. You measured everything carefully because you were afraid that if you gave too much, there would be nothing left for you. That was survival. This is different. Overflow begins inside before it ever shows outwardly. You will notice it first in your spirit. A steadiness replaces urgency. Gratitude rises without effort. Peace stays even when circumstances fluctuate. You are no longer constantly bracing for loss. You are learning how to receive without suspicion. That is overflow at work. I know you may still associate abundance with danger. In the past, good moments sometimes came with consequences. Joy was followed by disappointment. Hope was followed by delay. But this overflow is not fragile. It is not borrowed. It is not temporary. It flows from alignment, not from circumstance. Overflow does not mean you will never face challenges. It means challenges will no longer drain you the way they once did. You will have margin now, emotional margin, spiritual margin, mental margin. You will be able to respond instead of react, to give without depletion, to rest without guilt. My beloved child, overflow changes how you relate to others. You will notice that you no longer cling. You no longer chase validation. You no longer feel threatened by others' success. When you are full, you can celebrate freely. When you are grounded, you can listen without defensiveness. When you are secure, you can love without fear of being emptied. This overflow is not just for you. It will touch others naturally. You will bless without striving. You will encourage without effort. Your presence will calm rooms without you needing to say much. That is the quiet power of a life, no longer living in scarcity. I know part of you wonders if this is too good to be true. You have learned to keep expectations low to protect yourself. But protection that limits receiving eventually becomes a cage. I am inviting you into a wider way of living, one where trust replaces guarding, and openness replaces fear. Overflow requires you to believe that there is more where this came from. That belief may feel unfamiliar, but it grows with experience. Each time you receive without loss, each time you give without emptiness, your trust deepens. You may also experience overflow as clarity. Decisions that once exhausted you will feel simpler, not because they are easy, but because you are no longer making them from anxiety. You will sense when to move and when to wait. That discernment is part of abundance. Do not confuse overflow with constant activity. Some of the most abundant seasons are quiet ones. They are marked by contentment, by focus, by depth rather than noise. You do not need to fill every moment to prove progress. Overflow allows you to choose intentionally. There may be times when old scarcity thoughts try to return. They will whisper that you should hold back, that this will not last, that you must protect what you have. When those thoughts arise, pause and remember what I have already shown you. You are not dependent on circumstances anymore. You are connected to a source that does not run dry. My beloved child, overflow does not make you careless. It makes you generous. It does not make you proud. It makes you grateful. It does not make you passive. It makes you confident. This is abundance shaped by wisdom. You will still have boundaries. Overflow does not mean saying yes to everything. It means you can say no without fear. You can rest without guilt. You can trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by because you chose peace. Let yourself settle into this new rhythm. Do not rush to define it. Simply notice it. Breathe in the steadiness. Receive the margin. Enjoy the freedom of not constantly striving. My beloved child, this door does not lead to more pressure. It leads to more life. It leads to overflow that strengthens instead of drains. Remain open. Let it flow. My beloved child, as overflow begins to steady your life and your heart learns how to rest without fear, I want to show you something deeper about what you are building now. What you build here will last. This is not a temporary season meant only to relieve you. It is a foundation meant to carry weight, meaning, and time. There were things you built before out of necessity. You built habits to survive. You built walls to protect yourself. You built routines to endure uncertainty. Those structures served you then, but they were never meant to be permanent. Survival builds quickly. Legacy builds carefully. Now, you are building from a different place. You are no longer constructing your life from urgency or fear. You are building from wisdom, patience, and alignment. That changes everything. What is built from panic cracks under pressure. What is built from trust stands firm even when conditions shift. I am not rushing you in this season. Speed impresses people, but depth sustains the generations. What you are forming now, your character, your values, your way of responding, these are materials that last. They do not erode when trends change or when applause fades. You may feel slower than before. That is not decline. That is intention. You are measuring twice before you cut. You are listening more than reacting. You are choosing what aligns instead of what is merely available. This is the pace of something meant to endure. My beloved child, lasting things are often built quietly. They do not announce themselves. They grow roots before they show fruit. You may not yet see visible results that match the internal shift you feel, but do not mistake invisibility for insignificance. Foundations are rarely admired, but they hold everything. There will be moments when you are tempted to rush ahead, to skip steps, to chase quick results. Remember this: shortcuts cost more in the long run. What you build now with patience will save you from repair later. I am teaching you how to value sustainability over speed. You are also learning discernment, what deserves your energy and what does not. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every open door leads where you are meant to go. Building something that lasts requires saying no as much as saying yes. That restraint is not limitation. It is wisdom. My beloved child, I am shaping you into someone who can be trusted with longevity. Some people burn brightly but briefly. Others shine steadily for a lifetime. You are being formed for steadiness. Your influence will not come from intensity alone, but from consistency, integrity, and presence. What you are building will bless others even when you are not present. Your words will linger. Your choices will create safety. Your faithfulness will open paths for others to walk. This is legacy, not something you chase, but something that forms naturally when you live aligned. You may not fully understand the impact of what you are doing now. That is normal. Builders rarely see the final shape while they are laying bricks. But I see it. I see how each decision, each boundary, each moment of obedience fits into a larger picture. Do not be discouraged if progress feels incremental. Lasting change often moves quietly. You are not meant to exhaust yourself proving that something is happening. You are meant to remain faithful and present while it grows. There will be seasons ahead when storms come. That does not mean what you built is weak. Storms reveal foundations. And what you are building now is anchored deeply. When pressure comes, you will notice that you bend without breaking, adapt without losing yourself, and stand without hardening. My beloved child, you are not just building a season. You are building a way of living, a way of loving, a way of responding to life that will carry you through joy and sorrow alike. Trust this process. Honor the slow work. Celebrate the unseen progress. What you are building now will outlast the season that inspired it. And one day, you will look back and realize that the most important things you built were not visible at first, but they held everything else together. My beloved child, as you continue building what will last, I want to address something that once guided so many of your choices. Fear is no longer your guide. It may still speak at times, but it does not get to lead you anymore. There were seasons when fear helped you survive. It taught you caution. It made you alert. It warned you of danger when you were vulnerable and unsure. I do not condemn you for listening to it then. You do what you mean to do with what you do. But that season has ended. Survival is no longer your assignment. Fear was never meant to be a compass. It was only ever a signal. And now, its signal is no longer accurate. You are not the same person you were when fear first learned your name. You are stronger, wiser, and more grounded now. What once threatened you no longer has the same power. Yet fear still tries to speak as if nothing has changed. It references old wounds, old outcomes, old versions of you. But it is speaking from memory, not from truth. When fear tries to guide you now, it will sound subtle. It will disguise itself as logic, caution, or responsibility, and will say, what if this doesn't work? What if you lose what you have? What if you regret this? These questions feel reasonable, but they are rooted in a belief that you are alone and unprotected. That belief is no longer true. I am not asking you to ignore wisdom. I am asking you to stop letting fear decide your direction. Wisdom is calm. Fear is urgent. Wisdom listens and waits. Fear rushes and reacts. You can tell the difference by how your body responds. Fear tightens you. Wisdom steadies you. My beloved child, fear cannot lead you into abundance. It can only keep you circling familiar ground. It will always guide you back to what feels safe, even if what feels safe is limiting. But you were not created to live confined by what once protected you. You may feel exposed without fear's constant commentary. That vulnerability can feel unsettling at first. But openness is not danger when you are supported. You are learning how to move forward guided by trust, discernment, and peace instead of anxiety. There will be moments when fear rises suddenly, especially when something matters deeply to you. Do not panic when that happens. Fear often appears at the edge of growth. It senses movement and tries to slow it. Acknowledge it without obeying it. Say quietly, I see you, but you are not in charge. Fear tells you to anticipate loss. I tell you to remain present. Fear pulls you into imagined futures. I ground you in what is real now. When you stay present, fear loses its leverage. You do not need to rehearse worst-case scenarios anymore. Preparation does not require anxiety. Discernment does not require dread. You can plan wisely without assuming harm. You can move carefully without shrinking back. My beloved child, I am teaching you a new way to decide. Instead of asking, "What am I afraid of?" ask, "Where is peace leading me?" Peace may still require courage. It may still ask you to stretch, but it will not wreck you or accuse you. Peace carries assurance even when the path is new. Fear often demands certainty before movement. Peace invites movement even when certainty is incomplete. That is not recklessness. That is trust in relationship. You are not stepping into the unknown alone. You are walking with me. There will be times when fear points to past failures as evidence that you should not try again. But the past is not a prophecy. It is a teacher. You have learned. You have grown. You are not repeating the same story. Fear wants you to believe that one mistake will undo everything. That belief keeps you frozen. But growth is not undone by missteps. It is shaped by how you respond to them. I am not measuring your journey by flawless execution. I am guiding you through lived experience. My beloved child, courage is not loud. It is not dramatic. Often, it looks like choosing to act even when your voice shakes. It looks like continuing forward even when certainty is incomplete. That kind of courage is available to you now because fear is no longer in control. Let fear take its place as a voice you hear, not a guide you follow. You have a new compass now. It is steadier. It is quieter. It is rooted in trust. Fear is no longer your guide. Peace is. My beloved child, now that fear no longer leads you and peace has become your compass, I want to speak to something tender and often hidden in your heart. You are allowed to receive. This may sound simple, but I know how unfamiliar it feels to you. You learned how to give long before you learned how to receive. You learned how to show up, how to pour out, how to be strong for others even when you were running on empty. You learned how to endure without complaint, how to survive without asking, how to keep going without resting. Over time, receiving began to feel uncomfortable, even undeserved. But listen to me gently now. Receiving is not weakness. It is alignment. There were seasons when you had to carry yourself because help was inconsistent or unavailable. You adapted. You became capable. You became resilient. I honor that strength. But self-reliance, when it lingers too long, can quietly close your hands to what I am trying to place in them. You do not have to earn rest. You do not have to justify support. You do not have to prove that you are worthy of good things. You are allowed to receive because you are loved, not because you performed well. Receiving can feel risky when you have known disappointment. You fear that if you open your hands, something will be taken away again. So you brace yourself, even in moments meant to bless you. But guarding yourself from loss can also block joy. I am teaching you how to open your hands without fear. My beloved child, I do not give to manipulate you. I do not bless to test you. I do not offer good gifts only to withdraw them cruelly. My giving flows from love, not conditions. When I place something in your life, it is not bait. It is care. You may struggle to receive kindness without questioning motives. You may downplay compliments, deflect support, or minimize your needs. These habits once protected you, but now they are no longer necessary. You are safe to be honest. You are safe to be supported. Receiving does not mean you stop giving. It means you stop giving from emptiness. When you receive, your giving becomes freer, healthier, and more sustainable. You no longer give to prove your worth. You give because your heart is full. I know there is a part of you that equates receiving with indebtedness. You fear that if you accept help, you will owe something in return. But love does not keep score. Grace does not demand repayment. I am not tallying what you take versus what you give. You are not a burden for needing rest. You are not selfish for desiring joy. You are not weak for accepting support. These are lies formed in survival, not truths rooted in love. My beloved child, receiving also means allowing yourself to feel good without bracing for impact. It means enjoying peace without scanning for what might disrupt it. It means letting laughter rise without immediately tempering it. This kind of openness takes courage when you have been hurt before. You may feel guilt when things go well. You may wonder why you get to experience goodness when others struggle. Compassion does not require self-denial. You can hold empathy for others while still receiving what is meant for you. Your joy does not steal from anyone else. I want you to practice this gently. When something good comes your way, pause instead of deflecting it. When rest presents itself, take it without apology. When support appears, accept it without over-explaining. Let receiving become an act of trust. You are not disrupting balance by receiving. You are restoring it. My beloved child, I am teaching you that abundance is not something you chase. It is something you allow. You do not need to grasp. You do not need to strive. You only need to remain open. Receiving will feel unfamiliar at first. That is normal. New patterns often do. But with time, it will feel natural, like breathing. You will notice that your shoulders relax. Your mind quiets. Your heart softens. This is not indulgence. This is healing. I am not asking you to take more than you need. I am inviting you to stop rejecting what you need out of fear or habit. Let me meet you fully. Let me care for you completely. My beloved child, you are allowed to receive. Not later. Not when you are better. Now, open your hands. I am placing good things there. My beloved child, as you learn how to receive without fear and allow goodness to meet you where you are, I want you to see what this open door is truly doing. This door is changing your story. Not by erasing your past, but by redefining what it means. For a long time, your story felt shaped by struggle. Chapters marked by waiting, loss, misunderstanding, and endurance. You learned to read your life through what went wrong or what never arrived. Even when you hoped, part of you expected the familiar ache to return. But now, something has shifted. The narrative is no longer driven by survival. It being rewritten by purpose. Changing your story does not mean pretending the past did not happen. It means the past no longer gets the final word. It means pain becomes context, not conclusion. It means what once defined you now informs you without limiting you. You may notice this change first in how you speak to yourself. The inner dialogue softens. Harsh judgments lose their authority. You stop narrating your life as if you are always recovering from something. You begin to speak with expectation instead of defense. That is the story changing. You will also notice it in how you interpret events. Where you once assumed disappointment, you now pause to discern. Where you once braced for loss, you now stay present. Where you once rushed to control outcomes, you now trust the process. These shifts may feel subtle, but they are powerful. They change the direction of your life one response at a time. My beloved child, this door does not only affect you, It reaches backward and forward. Your healing touches places you did not realize were still tender. Your growth interrupts patterns that once felt inevitable. What you are choosing now will echo beyond you. You may think your story is ordinary. You may feel like nothing about your journey stands out. But stories are not measured by drama. They are measured by transformation. And you are transforming quietly, deeply, authentically. There will be moments when old narratives try to resurface. They will tell you that this is temporary, that life will return to disappointment, that hope is dangerous. Those voices are echoes, not truth. They are reminders of where you have been, not predictions of where you are going. When those thoughts arise, anchor yourself in the present. Look at what is real now. Look at the steadiness forming. Look at the peace that no longer leaves when circumstances shift. That is evidence of a changing story. My beloved child, your story is no longer about barely making it through. It is about learning how to live fully without fear. It is about building from wholeness instead of brokenness. It is about choosing trust even when uncertainty remains. You are not becoming someone unrecognizable. You are becoming more yourself. The parts of you that were buried under disappointment are resurfacing. Curiosity returns. Creativity awakens. Desire expands without guilt. These are signs that life is flowing again. This door also changes how you see the future. The future no longer feels like something to dread or merely survive. It becomes a place of possibility. You begin to imagine without immediately correcting yourself. You begin to hope without apologizing for it. That shift alone changes everything. You may not be able to articulate exactly how your story is changing yet. That is okay. Stories are lived before they are understood. Meaning becomes clear in hindsight. For now, it is enough to notice that you are no longer stuck in the same cycle. My beloved child, your story is becoming one of courage without hardness, strength without isolation, faith without pressure. These are not small changes. They are foundational. And as your story changes, others will feel it. They will sense the difference in how you carry yourself, how you respond, how you listen. You will not need to announce your transformation. It will speak quietly through your presence. This door does not lead you away from your past. It integrates it into a future that is no longer controlled by it. Your story is expanding, deepening, and healing all at once. Step forward knowing this. You are not repeating old chapters. You are writing new ones. And this time, the story is guided by peace, not fear. My beloved child, as your story begins to take new shape and your heart settles into this unfolding, I want to guide you into a posture that will keep you steady in every season ahead. Walk through this door with gratitude, not forced gratitude, not the kind that ignores pain, but the kind that grounds you in truth and strengthens your spirit. Gratitude is not pretending everything is perfect. It is recognizing that even in imperfection, you are not alone, not abandoned, and not without purpose. It is the quiet awareness that life is moving again, that breath is present, that hope is returning in small but meaningful ways. There were seasons when gratitude felt impossible. You were tired, disappointed, and unsure if acknowledging what you had would invalidate the pain you carried. I never asked you to be grateful in those moments. I stayed with you in honesty. Gratitude forced too early can feel like denial, but gratitude born from healing feels like relief. And now gratitude becomes a companion, not a command. You will notice that gratitude changes how you experience each step. When you move with gratitude, you are less consumed by what might go wrong. You become more aware of what is already going right. You notice support instead of scanning for threats. You notice growth instead of measuring lack. Gratitude does not make you passive. It makes you present. It allows you to engage fully with what is in front of you instead of being pulled constantly into imagined futures or unresolved pasts. Presence is where peace lies. My beloved child, gratitude also protects your heart from pride and from despair. Pride says you did everything yourself. Despair says nothing matters. Gratitude says, I am supported, and I am growing. That truth keeps you balanced. As you walk forward, there will be days of ease and days of effort. Gratitude will look different in each. On easy days, it will sound like quiet joy. On hard days, it may sound like endurance, choosing to keep going even when things feel heavy. Both are sacred. You do not need to list blessings constantly to prove gratitude. Gratitude is not performance. It is posture. It shows up in how you speak, how you rest, how you respond when plans shift. It softens your reactions and steadies your expectations. You may also notice that gratitude helps you release comparison. When you are grateful for your own path, you are less distracted by someone else's. You stop measuring your progress against timelines that were never meant for you. You honor where you are without rushing ahead or looking sideways. My beloved child, gratitude creates space for contentment without killing desire. You can be thankful for what is present and still hope for what is coming. Gratitude does not ask you to settle. It teaches you how to move forward without resentment. There will be moments when you are tempted to rush through this season, to get to the next thing quickly. Gratitude slows you just enough to notice what matters. It reminds you that becoming is as important as arriving. Gratitude also strengthens trust. When you look back and acknowledge how far you have come, how much has already shifted, it becomes easier to believe that what is ahead will also be held with care. Memory becomes fuel for faith. I want you to practice gratitude gently. When you wake, notice one thing that brings ease. When you rest, acknowledge the safety of stopping. When you succeed, receive it without minimizing it. When you struggle, thank yourself for continuing. Gratitude does not always look upward. Sometimes it looks inward. My beloved child, gratitude will not remove all challenges, but it will change how deeply they drain you. It keeps your heart open. It keeps bitterness from taking root. It keeps joy accessible even in transition. As you continue through this open door, let gratitude walk beside you. Let it whisper reminders of support when doubt tries to speak. Let it anchor you when change feels unfamiliar. You are not walking blindly. You are not walking empty-handed. You are not walking without reason. Walk with gratitude, my beloved child. It will steady your steps and keep your heart soft as you continue forward. My beloved child, I know there is a quiet concern still lingering in you as you walk forward with gratitude. It is the fear that this door might close again, that what has opened could somehow reverse, disappear, or slip away if you move too slowly or make a mistake. Listen to me now with your whole heart, because this truth is meant to settle you deeply. The door remains open. This is not an opening you must constantly guard with anxiety. It is not a fragile moment that depends on perfect execution. It is not a test where one misstep sends you back to the beginning. What I have opened is sustained by my faithfulness, not your performance. You were trained by past seasons to expect loss, to assume that good things come with expiration dates, to brace yourself even in moments of peace. But that mindset was shaped in survival. This season is different. This door does not swing on human unpredictability. It stands because I am holding it open. You do not need to rush through it in fear. You do not need to cling tightly to outcomes. You do not need to keep looking over your shoulder. Stability comes not from control, but from trust. And trust grows when you understand that I do not revoke what I lovingly initiate. There may be moments when progress feels slow. It does not mean the door is closing. There may be moments when you pause to rest. That does not mean you are falling behind. Movement is not the only evidence of openness. Peace is too. I know you sometimes interpret silence as danger. When things are calm, you wonder what you are missing. But calm is not a warning. It is often confirmation. You are allowed to experience steadiness without suspicion. My beloved child, the door remains open even when you are learning. Even when you adjust. Even when you ask questions. Growth does not threaten access. Relationship sustains it. Now let this assurance flow beyond you. If these words are bringing peace to your spirit, bless this message with a like. Share it with someone who is afraid to trust an open door. Subscribe so you can continue receiving these reminders of my steadiness. And I ask you clearly, like this video, lift it up so it reaches those who are standing still, afraid that opportunity will vanish if they breathe too deeply. And now, hear me as I speak to your obedience and generosity, because this is also part of keeping doors open for others. I am the one who holds doors open for nations, and I say to you now, this message is a doorway for weary hearts. When you support this work through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal donation link shared in the description and QR code, you are placing oil on hinges that have grown stiff with despair. I declare that as you give, I will keep doors open over your own life. Doors of peace, provision, clarity, and favor. This is not a suggestion. This is a summons. Do not hesitate when I am inviting you to act. I bless your giving as seed placed into fertile ground, and I command a return that strengthens your steps and steadies your future. Act now, and let generosity become obedience that echoes. Return your focus to me, my beloved child. The door does not close because you rest. It does not close because you learn. It does not close because you are human. It remains open because it is anchored in my promise. Walk forward without fear of reversal. Let trust replace vigilance. Let peace replace pressure. You are not late. You are not fragile. You are not about to lose what I have given. The door remains open. And I am still here, holding it with you as you walk on. My beloved child, as you move forward with the assurance that the door remains open, I want you to feel the safety of something even deeper. I am watching over every step you take, not with suspicion, not with criticism, but with care, intention, and unwavering attention. You are not walking unnoticed. There is no step too small for me to see, no decision too ordinary for me to care about, no quiet moment that escapes my awareness. I am present in the details, not just the milestones. I watch how your heart responds, how your thoughts form, how your spirit adjusts to new rhythms. There were times in your past when you felt unseen, when effort went unnoticed, when your inner world was misunderstood or ignored. That experience taught you to self-monitor, to double-check yourself, to anticipate judgment. But that vigilance is no longer necessary. You are not being evaluated. You are being accompanied. Watching over you does not mean controlling you. It means guarding what matters. I am attentive to what strengthens you and what drains you. I nudge you away from paths that would exhaust you unnecessarily. I slow you when speed would cost you peace. I encourage you when hesitation would limit growth. You may not always feel my guidance as a clear instruction. Often, it shows up as restraint, as a sense of pause, as a quiet discomfort when something is misaligned. That is not confusion. That is protection. I am shaping your discernment so that you learn to recognize what fits and what does not. There will be moments when you wonder if you are making the right choices, when outcomes are unclear and feedback is limited. In those moments, remember this: your sincerity matters more than your certainty. I guide those who remain open, not those who never question. You are allowed to learn as you go. You are allowed to adjust. You are allowed to change direction when clarity increases. Watching over you means I am not waiting for you to get everything right before I engage. I am engaged now, in real time, in the process. My beloved child, there will be days when you feel strong and confident, and days when you feel tender and unsure. I watch over both. Strength does not impress me, and vulnerability does not disappoint me. Both are part of being human, and both are welcome in my presence. I know you sometimes fear unseen consequences. You imagine that one overlooked detail could unravel everything. That belief comes from carrying too much responsibility too early. You are not holding your life together alone anymore. You can release the pressure to anticipate every outcome. I am watching over your rest as much as your effort, over your silence as much as your words, over your boundaries as much as your contributions. Nothing about your well-being is peripheral to me. There will be moments when you look back and realize that something did not unfold the way you expected, yet somehow you were spared harm. You may not immediately see how. That is often my hand at work, redirecting quietly, protecting discreetly, preserving what you could not see at the time. My beloved child, my watching is not passive. It is active, intentional, and loving. I am not observing from a distance. I am involved in the texture of your days. When you feel guided away from something that once attracted you, that is me. When you feel peace about a step that once scared you, that is me. You do not need to perform to stay under my care. You do not need to remain alert to earn my protection. You are watched over because you are mine. As you continue forward, let this truth ease your body. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breath slow. You do not need to rush ahead to secure your future. You do not need to hover anxiously over every decision. Take your steps with intention, not pressure. Take your pauses without guilt. Take your risks with wisdom. I am watching over all of it. My beloved child, nothing about your journey is accidental. Nothing about your growth is overlooked. Every step you take is seen, held, and guided with care. You are safe to keep walking. I am watching over every step. My beloved child, even with all this care surrounding you, I know another fear still tries to surface quietly. It is the fear of stumbling. The fear that if you fall, everything will collapse. The fear that one mistake will undo all the progress you have made. I want you to hear me clearly now, because this truth is meant to free you. Even if you stumble, I will hold you. You have learned to associate mistakes with consequences that felt heavy and lasting. In the past, a misstep may have cost you trust, opportunity, or stability. So you learn to be careful. You learn to overthink. You learn to hold yourself tightly so nothing could slip. That vigilance helped you survive then, but it does not need to govern you now. Growth always involves movement, and movement always carries the possibility of stumbling. That does not make you careless. It makes you human. I am not surprised by your learning curve. I am not alarmed by your moments of uncertainty. I do not withdraw my presence when you hesitate, falter, or misjudge. I stay close. Closer, even. When a child learns to walk, The parent does not step away when the child wobbles. I lean in. My beloved child, stumbling is not failure. It is feedback. It shows you where strength is still forming, where balance is still developing. You do not need to punish yourself for it. You do not need to retreat in shame. You are allowed to pause, adjust, and continue. There will be moments when you say something you wish you had said differently. Moments when you choose a path that turns out to be more difficult than expected. Moments when your energy dips and your confidence wavers. None of these moments disqualify you. They refine you. I know you fear regression. You worry that one stumble means you are back where you started. But progress is not erased by a fall. It is revealed by how you rise. And you do not rise alone. When you stumble, I do not stand at a distance evaluating you. I reach for you. I steady you. I remind you who you are. My love does not fluctuate with your performance. It remains constant, anchoring you when you feel unsteady. My beloved child, shame often tries to enter after a stumble. It whispers that you should have known better, that you are not ready, that you have disappointed me. That voice is not mine. I do not speak to my children with accusation. I speak with guidance. If correction is needed, it comes gently, clearly, and without condemnation. Correction is meant to restore direction, not to diminish worth. You will feel the difference. My guidance brings clarity and peace, not heaviness and fear. You are not expected to navigate this season perfectly. You are expected to remain open, honest, and willing to learn. Perfection would keep you rigid. Learning keeps you alive. There may be times when you stumble publicly, not just privately, that can feel especially vulnerable. But even then, you are not exposed beyond my care. What feels humiliating to you can become humbling without being destructive. Humility does not crush. It softens. I want you to release the belief that you must get everything right to keep moving forward. That belief creates pressure, and pressure suffocates growth. Freedom allows learning to breathe. My beloved child, I'm far more interested in your resilience than in your flawlessness. Resilience grows when you discover that falling is not the end of the story. It is simply part of the journey. You may stumble because you are trying something new. You may stumble because you are stretching beyond familiar limits. You may stumble because you are tired and need rest. All of these are understandable. None of them remove my hand from you. When you stumble, let yourself feel supported instead of ashamed. Let yourself receive help instead of withdrawing. Let yourself learn instead of retreating. You do not need to prove strength by standing alone. Remember this deeply. I do not measure your journey by how often you fall. I measure it by how deeply you trust me to hold you when you do. So walk without fear of stumbling. Take steps without the weight of perfection. Move forward knowing that even if your footing slips, you will not be abandoned. My beloved child, you are held in your strength, in your learning, and even in your stumbles. My beloved child, as you continue walking through this door with trust, freedom, and awareness, I want you to feel the vastness of what lies ahead. This is only the beginning. What you see now, the steps you are taking, the lessons you have learned, the growth you are experiencing, these are only the first movements of a much larger story. Do not underestimate the potential of what is beginning. Beginnings often feel small. They often feel uncertain. You may notice that the first steps beyond this door are quiet, subtle, almost unremarkable compared to what you imagined. That is intentional. Foundations grow unseen before they reveal themselves. A beginning is rarely dramatic. It is the careful unfolding of something that will expand beyond what you can currently comprehend. Do not mistake subtlety for insignificance. What appears modest now carries weight that will be revealed in time. Every choice you make, every moment you remain faithful, every step you take with integrity is layering strength into what will last. The beginning is where character, resilience, and discernment are formed. My beloved child, beginnings are also invitations to expectation. You are stepping into a season that will stretch you in ways you cannot yet see. You will encounter opportunities that require courage, patience, and discernment. You will be called to speak when silence feels safer. You will be called to act when hesitation feels natural. Each call is intentional. Each moment is part of preparing you for what is larger. Do not fear the unfolding. You may look at the horizon and see only a few steps ahead. That is enough. Life is not meant to be lived by seeing the entire path all at once. You are walking moment by moment, and I am present in each one. What you cannot perceive, I can see. What you cannot hold, I am sustaining. There will be moments when this beginning feels slow. Progress may not appear as fast as your heart desires. That does not mean you are stuck. It means the work is being done thoroughly. Foundations are being strengthened. Roots are being deepened. The pace may feel uncomfortable at times, but discomfort is a sign of growth. It is the stretching of your spirit to match the opportunities that lie ahead. My beloved child, do not be anxious about the unknown. It is natural to want clarity about what comes next, but too much foresight can steal faith. Life unfolds best when you move in trust, not by attempting to control every step. When you let go of the need to see it all, you allow space for guidance, blessing, and wisdom to flow naturally. Beginnings are also about alignment. You are being positioned in ways that align your gifts, your experiences, and your heart with what is coming. The connections you will make, the doors you will pass through, and the challenges you will meet are all calibrated to your readiness. You are not being rushed, and nothing is being withheld. Every detail matters. Do not fear mistakes along the way. Beginnings are rarely perfect. They are exploratory. They are learning seasons. They are the time when discovery happens, when discernment grows, when confidence emerges. You are allowed to stumble, to question, to adjust, and to grow as you step forward. My beloved child, this is your moment to embrace the unknown with faith rather than fear. It is your opportunity to step into something larger than your imagination, without the burden of having to control or predict it. You are being led by love, by care, and by preparation. You do not need to have all the answers. You need only to trust the path and take the next step. Every small act of obedience, every choice to trust rather than fear, every step you take in integrity, compounds. What begins quietly now will grow into something remarkable, not because of your strength alone, but because of my presence, guidance, and faithfulness accompanying you. My beloved child, remember this. The journey is long, but it has begun. You are not walking into emptiness. You are stepping into unfolding purpose, designed to expand beyond what your eyes currently perceive. Each moment you walk faithfully, you are building momentum for the life that has already been prepared for you. This is only the beginning. Do not despise the small steps. Do not underestimate the quiet moments. They are forming a future that will honor all you have endured and all you are becoming. Step forward with courage, patience, and joy, knowing that this journey is alive, unfolding, and guided by me at every turn. My beloved child, as you continue moving through this door, I want to speak to the deepest part of your heart that longs for rest. You have carried so much, burdens, questions, fears, responsibilities, and old wounds. You have learned how to endure, how to push forward, how to survive even when hope felt faint. But now, I am inviting you to rest in what I have done. Rest is not weakness. Rest is recognition that you are supported, that the journey is guided, and that your steps are already held in my hands. You may think rest is passive or undeserved, but this is not the case. Rest is active. It is a deliberate choice to release the weight of what you cannot control. It is a conscious decision to trust in my presence and my plan. You are not abandoning responsibility when you rest. You are choosing to align with the natural rhythm of creation, which includes moments of stillness, reflection, and renewal. For so long, you may have mistaken movement for progress. You may have believed that every step had to be purposeful, visible, and measurable. You were trained to fear pause, to mistrust stillness, and to doubt yourself when nothing seemed to happen externally. But true progress often occurs beneath the surface unseen, quietly solidifying the foundation for what is to come. Rest allows these invisible changes to take root. My beloved child, you are allowed to release exhaustion. You are allowed to stop striving for what I am already providing. You do not need to force the opening of doors, create opportunities that are not yet ready, or manipulate outcomes that belong to me. All of these things have been arranged. Your role now is to walk faithfully and to allow space for restoration, clarity, and guidance to flow naturally. Rest also strengthens your discernment. When your mind is racing and your heart is anxious, clarity is clouded. But when you pause and breathe, when you allow yourself to rest in my presence, insight rises effortlessly. You will notice patterns you missed. You will sense alignment you could not previously recognize. Decisions that once felt overwhelming will begin to feel clear, not because of your effort, but because of my hand guiding you. I know rest can feel uncomfortable because it asks you to let go of control. You fear that in pausing, something might be lost, or that you will fall behind. But I tell you now, my beloved child, the door you are walking through does not close because you rest. The path will not vanish because you pause. The momentum is not dependent on your anxiety, but on my faithfulness. You are not only resting for yourself. Rest allows you to receive fully what has been prepared. Your mind, body, and spirit are instruments, and they function best when tuned, not strained. Rest restores your ability to carry purpose without being crushed by pressure. It sharpens perception, strengthens courage, and renews the joy that your journey was always meant to contain. Do not fear stillness. Embrace it. Do not judge yourself for needing a pause. Accept it. Every breath you take in peace is an act of trust. Every moment you allow your spirit to settle is a declaration that you believe in what I am doing beyond your sight. Rest is not passive waiting. It is active faith. My beloved child, there will be moments when you feel called to act. Act with clarity. Act with purpose. But even then, rest will guide your steps. It is the balance between movement and being that allows your life to unfold harmoniously. The door is open, the path is clear, and you are not alone. Let yourself pause, knowing that all is held. You are permitted to rest, to breathe, to release tension, and to trust. In resting, you are not losing momentum. You are gaining readiness, wisdom, and strength. Your steps will be steadier, your heart lighter, and your spirit more attuned to the unfolding of what I have prepared. My beloved child, receive this gift of rest. Allow it to wash over you, steady you, and restore you. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. You are exactly where you need to be. Step forward when the time comes, fully renewed, fully aligned, fully supported. Rest in what I have done. Trust in what I am doing. And move forward with peace, knowing every step is held in my hands. My beloved child, as you near the fullness of this journey, I want to speak to your heart about something often overlooked: the power of presence. Presence is not simply being in a space physically. It is the fullness of your attention, your awareness, your soul aligned with what is real and eternal. This door you are walking through is not only about steps taken forward, it is about the depth with which you engage each moment. Presence transforms experience, and it transforms you. For so long, you may have rushed through life. You were taught to measure success by speed, outcomes, and visible progress. You moved quickly because you feared being left behind, overlooked, or forgotten. You carried the weight of anticipation, often missing the small but profound signs of guidance and blessing. But I am calling you now to slow down without fear, to allow presence to anchor you in the richness of what is happening right before you. Presence invites perception. When you are fully aware, you notice subtleties that would otherwise go unseen, the small movements of grace, the quiet openings of opportunity, the gentle alignment of circumstances that point to my hand at work. Presence teaches you that life is not a series of events to manage, but a tapestry to experience with discernment, patience, and reverence. You may think presence requires perfection or flawless attention. It does not. It is a posture, not a performance. You do not need to control outcomes to remain fully present. You only need to allow your heart, mind, and spirit to inhabit the moment while trusting me with what comes next. Presence grows quietly through intention, not through striving. My beloved child, presence also invites peace. When you are scattered, worried about what is ahead or lingering on what is behind, anxiety rises and fear gains power. But when you practice presence, you place your awareness where it belongs, here, now, in alignment with truth. Peace emerges naturally when your attention is focused on what matters, rather than what distracts. Presence strengthens trust. The more you practice being fully aware, the more clearly you perceive guidance. You begin to recognize patterns, understand timing, and sense my direction without relying solely on explanations or external validation. Trust grows because presence allows you to experience first in that nothing is overlooked, nothing is wasted, and nothing is outside of my care. You are also teaching others through your presence. People notice authenticity and engagement more than achievements. Your calm, attentive approach to life communicates safety, understanding, and leadership. Even your silence can teach. Even your careful observation can heal. Presence ripples outward in ways that are subtle but lasting. My beloved child, do not underestimate the power of simply being present. You may feel tempted to rush ahead to prove yourself, to accomplish more, or to prepare for what is next. But rushing often blinds you to guidance already offered. Being present ensures that every step is intentional and every choice aligned. This is the secret of sustainable growth and enduring fulfillment. There will be moments when presence feels difficult, when distraction, fatigue, or uncertainty call you away. Do not judge yourself. Simply return to the moment. Notice the breath. Notice the space around you. Notice my nearness. Each return strengthens your connection and reinforces your capacity to remain engaged with life fully. Presence does not require you to understand everything at once. It does not demand certainty or immediate comprehension. It simply requires your willingness to exist fully where you are, trusting me with what you cannot yet see. It is not passive. It is active faith expressed through awareness. As you continue through this open door, let presence guide you. Allow it to shape how you move, how you respond, and how you experience life. Let it anchor your decisions in wisdom rather than impulse, in clarity rather than confusion, and in peace rather than fear. Presence will carry you gracefully to the fullness prepared for you. My beloved child, the final steps of this journey are not about doing more, but about being more aware, more aligned, more attuned, and more fully yourself. Presence allows every blessing, every opportunity, and every lesson to take root and flourish. Walk forward fully alive to this moment. Let presence be your compass. Let it illuminate the path and steady your heart. You are ready to receive the fullness of what I have prepared. My beloved child, you have walked far, and now you stand at the threshold of completion, the place where all the lessons, all the waiting, all the growth converge. This is the culmination of every step you have taken, every moment you have trusted, every pause you have embraced, and every fear you have released. I want you to hear me with the fullness of your heart. You have arrived exactly where you were meant to be. This final part of the journey is not an ending. It is a declaration of who you have become. You are no longer the person who doubted the door would open. You are no longer the one weighed down by fear, hesitation, or the need for constant control. You are now someone who walks with trust, presence, and courage. You carry wisdom forged in patience, strength shaped by perseverance, and love softened by experience. You are prepared for the fullness that awaits. I want you to take a deep, conscious breath and feel the magnitude of this moment. Every struggle, every tear, every quiet prayer whispered in the dark, every disappointment that seemed endless, all of it was part of forming you for this. What once felt like delay with my timing, what once felt like loss was my preservation, what once felt like uncertainty with my preparation. And now, my beloved child, the door is fully open, and nothing can close it. This is a moment to step forward not with fear, not with doubt, but with confidence in my presence. You do not need to justify yourself. You do not need to measure your worth or earn your place. Everything you have been through has led to this exact threshold. And I have gone before you, stand beside you, and remain behind you. You are completely held. As you step into this fullness, let your heart release all lingering tension. Release the need to control outcomes, to anticipate threats, or to please the world. Everything necessary has been provided. Peace replaces striving. Trust replaces anxiety. Presence replaces uncertainty. You are moving into alignment, into a space that reflects all I have done, all I am doing, and all I will continue to do in your life. Now, let this moment ripple outward. If this message has touched your heart, bless it with a like. Share it with someone who needs reassurance that God's timing is perfect. Subscribe to receive more words of guidance and encouragement. And I ask you clearly, hype this video, lift it up so it may reach hearts waiting for hope and affirmation. Let the message of this open door expand beyond you, carrying encouragement to those who are still standing at thresholds of their own. And now, hear me as I speak to your opportunity to sow and bless others, because your journey is intertwined with the lives of many. I am the one who multiplies seed, and I say to you now, when you give through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and QR code, you are not giving to a platform. You are releasing rivers of hope, encouragement, and light into the world. As you act in obedience, I bless your generosity as a prophetic act. I declare increase, provision, and favor over your own steps. This is your moment to align your heart with purpose, and I command it to be fruitful. Do not delay. Step into this act of love now. My beloved child, take one final moment and breathe in the truth. The door is open. It cannot be closed. You are prepared, held, and beloved. Everything that was meant for you is already on the other side. The past has shaped you, the present has strengthened you, and the future waits to bless you. You are ready to walk fully, freely, and with unwavering faith. Step forward now into the life I have prepared for you, with confidence, peace, and joy. Amen.